Somewhere a woman sorts pills for the weak, struggling to twist off the god-forsaken child-proof caps and handle the tiny medicines with arthritic fingers. Somewhere a child breaks his favorite toy and runs to his daddy, tears pouring from his eyes, and his father hopes a Phillips screwdriver and well-placed glue will bring joy to his boy's heart once again. Somewhere a man wakes up in a hospital bed and looks at a picture of the sun on a horizon and wonders if the artist captured dawn or dusk. And in the cluttered apartment of a defrocked newsman, the time comes again for another episode of The Exile. I'm your host, Daniel P. Finney, a once proud member of the Fourth Estate, cast out by corporate media. I survive the only way I ever have, by seeking truth and telling stories. We have our friend Memphis Paul in today for the duration of the podcast, and we are going to talk whatever we want to talk about, and we hope that you enjoy the journey with us as much as we enjoy creating the journey.
We talked about some things before the podcast began.
Right, they were amusing and we didn't record them, so we're screwed now.
We had a bit of a transcendental crisis of faith in terms of are we in good spirits to bring joy into the world, or is that beyond the pale of what
my rule is
times.
Yeah, my rule is we are who we are, and if we try to be something else, you end up just being one of those people that you can't stand. So what?
Joe Buck.
Right. He's a favorite target, or just, like all of these people, Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, whoever is trying to tell me what to think about politics or, whatever. I don't know. I'm Dan Finney. This is how I am. I'm kind of grumpy. I'm prone to depression and anxiety. I don't think everything's going to work out for the best.
Sure.
That's just how I am. You're Paul. You're a workaday guy. You're a workaday guy in a kiss-ass world. And that's how life is. And if people don't want to listen to it, we're not really doing it for them anyway. I mean, this is just something to do. I did this so I could learn the skill of making podcasting and the editing and the software. And we always said we'd make a podcast together. And we did for a little while. And then we stopped. And, now I'm unemployed and I got nothing else to do except learn how to do stuff. So
This is the Van Gogh painting that was found in a village in France, the last postcard before he killed himself.
What was the lyric from the Boondocks opening?
Now, but not at the time, because it was just stuck in a room in France, a village.
We are the stones that the builder refused. Isn't that that's the Boondocks opening theme?
Oh, great!
So what had come up in that conversation?
I'm glad we culturally appropriated the Boondocks.
Oh yeah.
I feel good.
Well, people can protest all they want. I can't hear a damn thing in this brick building. So you just yell at me. White silence is white violence or whatever, and I'll be sitting here.
So we
generally not hearing you.
We were questioning ourselves, but we came upon the topic.
Right.
That was amusing.
It was your idea. The idea was, if I understand it correctly, because of how effed up things are right now with the virus, unemployment, just the general malaise and the horrible politics of the era, there were some mind-bending, brain-challenging directors that we probably didn't need to hear from right now. And you wanted to start that out.
Sometimes you want to watch something a little difficult or challenging.
Right. Now is not the time for that.
Things are just so easy and breezy. Enough easygoing stuff. I want to challenge myself with a little, dark chocolate in the form of a movie. Well, that's not the time because life is pretty dark.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have a tiramisu.
Right. So back some soft chocolate, milk chocolate.
Right. The only soft chocolate in this house are laxatives, so that's that's a bad idea.
So I'm gonna say BoJack Horseman, not a show to watch now.
No. I actually got a retweet from BoJack Horseman's account, and I said, BoJack Horseman is brilliant, but you really ought to make sure your psych meds are up to date before you watch this show. Because that show is relentless, while very funny, relentlessly depressing.
Not a show to watch during the COVID.
No.
Perhaps. Unless you're Jimmy Fallon or one of those guys that Joe Buck, you're resistant to sad times.
Well, Jimmy Fallon, if Jimmy Fallon were to talk about BoJack Horseman, he would just try to be on BoJack Horseman. Like, his whole shtick is like,
let's play the sport game or sing a song together.
That crap, because he refuses to be an adult.
Yeah.
But also, like, one time he played guitar with Neil Young, and I wanted to be like, how about we just let Neil Young play the effing guitar, all right? Like, Neil Young is a rock god, and I don't need you to live out your little childhood fantasy of playing with Neil Young. Just sit aside and let the guests shine. He can't do it.
You could bring on that physicist. Who's that famous physicist in the wheelchair?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Right. You bring on Neil deGrasse Tyson, it's like, oh, we're going to do new physics theorems together.
Yeah.
Here's this idea I had for theorem. It's, no. How about you just let Neil deGrasse Tyson do the physics stuff? That's not your range of expertise. And you let Neil Young play the guitar. He's earned that right.
I do like that idea, though, because I want to see Jimmy Fallon do some of that math, like
how he would punch him in the face.
Like, Degrassi would like put up this equation, and like everyone would sort of look at it and be like, I don't even recognize what those symbols are, and there are no numbers. And then Jimmy, like, I don't know what he would do. Like, would he just balance his checkbook? I mean, I don't.
I can improve this when we put an exponent on this letter you got here.
And then the DeGrasse Tyson be like, well, you've just destroyed the universe. So
there's a collider in France that has just blown up. We've been sucked into a black hole now. Thanks.
Yeah, good job, Jimmy. So, I always knew that Jimmy Fallon would be the end. But anyway, who else are you thinking of? No
BoJack's out. Cronenberg is out. And
see, I disagree.
Oh, is he whimsy?
I don't know. He's not whimsical, but like some of his stuff is just weird, which is a little bit different than depressing. Like I like several Cronenberg movies that have escaped my memory right this moment.
Stainless steel gynecological instruments is something that you're up for during COVID.
I have my own collection, and it's none of your business.
It's fun. It's fun to play with and get out. It's a brighter during the day during the COVID.
There's a bag of toys in the closet, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
What was the movie he did? Man, I should have IMDb open when we're talking about these guys, but.
Because I never know who I'm talking about. You have to the names and details.
I have several of his movies, so and I consider them to be more like Videodrome, which has Debbie Harry in it, who is nude, by the way, in that movie. Debbie Harry and James Woods. And that's a very strange movie where this guy who runs a small TV station, somehow ends up getting sucked into his team. Sucks into his screen. And Scanners is another Cronenberg film that I really like. And didn't he do like an adaptation of, uh, what was the stoner author, or not the stoner, the addict author, heroin addict, Edgar Burroughs? He did a video. I think he did the movie for Naked Lunch, which had a lot of cockroaches that were typewriters. Yeah, see, you laugh at that. You're like, this is really freaking weird. And see, I think that would, like, that's so weird.
I'm running to get popcorn now. Watch this with my mom. This won't be awkward.
I wouldn't watch it with your mom because it doesn't have James Belushi in it. So, or Courtney Thorne-Smith. No Belushi. Yeah, no Belushi, no Courtney Thorne-Smith.
Season 6 of Community referenced Belushi, as well as Lawnmower Man. But go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm over. I would watch. There's also less weird movies like A History of Violence and Eastern Promises, which are both good thrillers.
Those are Cronenberg?
They are.
Yeah.
He's the director. Yeah. So I fight the Cronenberg statement. I think
Eastern Promises has that scene on the Turkish bath, so that's relaxing to think about.
That's true. Naked men fighting for their lives.
Well, just a nice scene. That's relaxing.
Well, okay, if you're going to take that route, sure. Both of us live in warm weather states, though. So
Eraserhead, who's that director?
That's Lynch. That's David Lynch.
Yeah, that's another director maybe to avoid.
Yeah.
Except for the one with the lawnmower, where he's crossing Iowa in the John Deere product.
Right. Now
that's the exception. You could watch that. That's not.
That's the guy from Iowa or Nebraska that drives to see his brother.
Harry Dean Stanton, the brother.
Yeah, the late Harry Dean Stanton, no less.
Yeah.
What?
So that's the exception. That one is not depressing.
Didn't David Lynch do?
It's a little slow, but
The Lawnmower Man, though, wasn't that David Lynch?
I don't think so.
Oh,
it was good. I don't know that many facts about it besides it had Jeff Fahey and Pierce Brosnan in it.
I've never seen the movie that you're talking about, the Lawnmower movie, the straight story about the guy who drives to see his brother on his lawnmower.
That's a straight story. Yeah,
but I'm not going to resist this totally because there are things that, like if you watch the director's cut of Dune, I think that's actually good because you will become so numb and bored by the just endless scenes of walking in the desert. It's the only movie that has more endless scenes of walking in the desert than Lawrence of Arabia.
Dune has a lot of special cuts, and so does Apocalypse Now.
Right.
I think they're the kings of like we tweak this just a little bit.
Just recut it and make it longer and somehow more boring, and then critics will talk about how much more interesting this is. But so I think watching that Blue Velvet, I would not want to watch right now.
No.
A Razorhead, I wouldn't want to watch almost any time.
Inland Empire is probably a pass.
I've never seen that. But Mulholland Drive, I kind of had an itch to watch that the other night because there's some very sexy scenes in there with
there
are the two female leads, and it starts out kind of like a regular just thriller with Naomi Watts and Laura Harning, and then I just remember a scene where they open a box and there's a blue ball and the ball goes through the bottom of the box, and then after that things stop making sense. So what about Lost Highway? Lost Highway is another one of those.
It's weird. I think I would skip it. It's a movie I enjoy, but I feel like now is not the time.
It is a bit of a mind buster.
Yeah.
It is a bit of I like that movie a lot, but it is a bit of a mind buster.
You mentioned James Wood in Videodrome.
Yeah. Creepy guy.
There's a couple people we know who attended James Wood High School. Beavis and Butt-head.
They attended James Woods High School?
I thought their high school was James Wood High School. Like when you
that was a Family Guy joke.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I don't. The Beavis and Butt-head did not. That was a Family Guy joke, and then James Wood did something gross or non-woke, and then so they renamed the high school after the late Adam West.
Right. He had the temerity to like Donald Trump, which I don't know that I'm a Donald Trump fan, but I'm not gonna. We've talked about this, like, regardless of the convictions of the owners of Chick-fil-A.
Right. I like a good chicken sandwich.
They make a good sandwich. Right. Like, so I don't know what their beliefs are in terms of pleasing everyone, but just in terms of eating the sandwich, they make a good sandwich. So
I mean, they do toe the line. I can't get a Chick-fil-A sandwich today because we're recording this on a Sunday.
That's right.
And they're closed on Sundays. So, they walk the walk. Highland High School is where Beavis and Butt-head attend high school.
Right.
Which to me implies it's in Texas because Judge was from Texas, and that's kind of the pinpoint for King of the Hill, which is something I would watch now. I would also watch Beavis and Butt-head Do America, or Beavis and Butt-head.
That's right. That's the film to watch right now.
Beavis and Butt-head Do America? Yeah.
That's about the level of entertainment that...
well, I want to talk more about Beavis and Butt-head in our next segment, because they're coming back.
Right. That was the pivot I was trying to make with my clever James Wood recall.
Yeah. Well, this was the longest segue in the history of podcasting.
It was.
But we put it down, and we'll be back in a minute to talk Beavis and Butt-head. There used to be a thing called Liquid Television, and they had like animated shorts. And their first short was Frog Baseball, which I don't even think you could do that today. Like, they were throwing up frogs and trying to hit them, but they ended up hitting each other with a baseball bat. I think today that would Yeah, PETA, even though they're animated, PETA would be protesting, and no one can be offended. But then they got their own show, and that ran 93 to 97, roughly the time we were in college.
Yeah.
And there was the movie in 96, which I remember going to and enjoying thoroughly. And it had Robert Stack as the FBI agent who was checking them, and every time he pulled someone over, he would order a full cavity search.
I think Cloris Leachman was a little old lady in the tour bus.
Yes, a Des Moines native, Cloris Leachman.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm glad we were able to capture that Iowa reference and notate it. That's good.
That's right. Listen, pal, anytime you come across a Tennessee or Memphis reference that you want to pump up, I won't step aside.
You're like a goalkeeper that's on fire.
What you have to understand is I spent...
When an Iowa reference comes into play.
Yeah,
You're like Emmy Martinez of the FA Cup winning Arsenal.
Yeah. These are references for the legions of soccer fans following our podcast. You have to understand, I spent 27 years largely working for the local newspaper shop, and their whole identity is tying Iowa to things that people are interested in because Iowa isn't generally interested in itself. So, like Gary Cooper, I think it was, died in Davenport, Iowa.
Who's Gary Cooper?
He was a famous actor from the golden age of cinema. I think
Like
this is
westerns?
right. Not westerns, like more like romantic comedies. He was a leading man.
Okay.
I may be getting the guy wrong. I don't. It was one of these famous actors from that era, and he died in like Davenport. And the headline in the local newspaper, my old shop, was something like, "He died in our arms."
Wow.
So this is sort of the mentality that I come from. So I do have a lot of useless Iowa, who's from Iowa trivia knocked, and I do annoyingly drop that on people who have no F's to give about Iowa facts. Mostly you, because you're like one of 4 people I talk to.
Right.
So anyway, Beavis and Butt-head, they had a run, and then they had a short run in like 2011. They had like 22 episodes, I think.
It was nice.
Yeah. Not only was it nice, it was great. They were like, oh, they didn't miss a beat. They were just they made fun of. I think my favorite line was one time they were playing some wimpy band, and Beavis said, "This sounds like the music that you play when elevator music rocks too hard."
Did they have music videos in the reset?
They did.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and so
it wasn't as good as the original. We were older then, so nothing was as good as being in college.
Right.
Well, full of vim and vigor.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with life is you don't realize how much fun you're having as a kid until the fun is gone, and then you're like, "Holy cow, that was way better than this." And
you had to get in like a ninja to watch the reset because MTV itself became intolerable.
You did. It was gross. It was really like your favorite band is playing at a bar in the worst neighborhood in town, and so like you didn't even take your car. You Ubered in. Or back then it would have been a cab. You took a cab. You like went into the bar. They did their set, and then as they were like after the last drum beat, you like rolled out and grabbed the first cab and got out of there because you were gonna get an STD if you watched 16 and Pregnant or Teen Wolf or.
They had some horrible cartoon afterwards, which wasn't as entertaining.
Yeah, I thought, I'll stick around for this. I watched it one time, and I thought, yeah.
They had this horrible intro. Want some TP for your bunghole?
We don't. Yeah, let's leave that to Beavis. Yeah.
Don't be like Jimmy Fallon trying to play the guitar with Leon.
Right.
Leave the jokes to Beavis and Butt-head.
Let the talent do the job. Just say Beavis and Butt-head is up next.
It is one of those things. Like nothing's as good as it used to be.
Right.
But those episodes were really good. I remember an episode where it was like they introduced something from the present time, but it still had that Beavis and Butt-head sensibility. It was, I guess, the Exxon tanker crash, and there was like these all slick birds. And, the hippie teacher was like talking about dirt babies or something. He listed up 4 or 5 different words that were part of the story, and they just giggled.
Yeah.
With each word because the words were just ridiculous on their own.
Didn't they end up getting on TV because the class went to wash the baby animals or whatever, and they ended up getting on TV as like big heroes?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Another great line from one of those episodes is they referenced Daria. And Daria was the sort of snotty, smart girl who no one liked but she, like my friend Tracy, who you might remember from Drake, she loved Daria. She felt like Daria was her avatar. And I always found Daria to be off-putting at a minimum. And so I loved it when they referenced Daria, and like Butthead was like, she died.
Yeah.
And then like he was like, no, she moved away. And then Butthead said, no, she died.
So here we are now. They're doing more of these. We've seen that this is a show that was reset, and it referenced modern things, but still had the old sensibilities. So is this going to be fun? Will they find something, a little bit of rainbow at the end of
I trust
the storm?
I trust Mike Judge quite a bit, but I don't want Beavis and Butthead to be texting each other.
Oh, yeah.
Throughout the episode. I don't want Beavis and Butthead to be watching YouTube instead of TV.
They're pretty resistant to technology.
I hope so. I don't want, I don't want the hippie guy to have beard oil and tattoos now and nose ring.
Yeah.
Part of the problem with Beavis and Butthead is they're not nearly screwed up enough to be out of the ordinary today. Like a student in a modern high school, like Beavis and Butthead, like teachers would weep for their level of literacy and like cheeringly, like, oh, you know some words.
Or like these kids are dumb, but they're not kicking up a fuss. I'm not having to put them in the room for a little cooling off room.
Right. They don't have a room for them to break stuff in, and they don't have like teachers' assistants who sit with them the whole day. Now, if they did that stuff would be kind of funny. Like, oh, we're going to put you on a special plan because you can't handle anything.
Yeah.
That would be funny. I'd love to see Beavis and Butthead on a performance improvement plan or whatever they call it in schools, where you get your jollies out. I don't know. I hope they haven't aged them. Like, I don't want to see Beavis and Butthead in their 30s.
They only did that once. They showed them they were in the desert, and there was like a fire going, and they saw two older guys that looked like them.
That was the implication, that those guys were their fathers who had had sex with their moms and then left town.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want any of that. I don't want any Beavis and Butthead being depressed working at Burger World, or Beavis and Butthead suffering ennui in their corporate insurance job. That I don't need that. I don't want it to turn into 30-something or one of these head scratcher movies or TV shows, and I don't want it to be like Big Bang Theory either. So,
as an accountant, I do kind of want to see Beavis working as an accountant, but like stuck in the past, like he's using the Lotus 1-2-3.
Yeah.
He's messing things up.
Who is texting you?
I have no clue.
Oh.
Is it interfering with the?
No, it's fine. It doesn't bother me. It's just
yeah.
I'm talking to you.
I don't know anyone else.
Well, lots of people, but it's probably a work text.
I'm being informed of accounting jobs in my area, and the weather app is telling me about changes in the weather.
Oh, well.
I got this weather app because it was supposed to help with geolocating me, and that was like a component of contact tracing, but we managed to screw up the whole COVID response so much that I don't know that it matters. But I do have a weather app now.
Were you getting lost a lot?
No, I'd seen some story that was like, hey, you can get this app, and eventually it would be used to help social tracing. So, like, if like Foursquare or whatever, it's like, oh, I was at McAllister's getting a sandwich, and someone else was there getting a sandwich, and they've got the COVID. This weather app would know that I was there and he was there, and it's like, hey, FY, get tested, or
well, I've never heard of this.
I don't know.
Throughout the whole COVID thing, I've not heard of such a thing. But
these apps,
yeah,
adult or in a state of development.
I think what happened. I think people just abandoned that idea right away. Yeah.
Well, I got the app, and it's just there.
Yeah, just tells you what the weather is.
Yeah.
You know my theory about weather forecasting.
Just look outside.
Yeah, the only thing you need is a window and a calendar. Mm-hmm. Like, you look outside and it's sunny and it's July or August and you're in Memphis, probably going to be hot and crummy.
Stay inside. It's hot
sticky. Right. You look outside and it's sunny and it's, February in Des Moines, you're probably going to need a coat. And on those gray days where it may rain or it may not rain, just go ahead and take the umbrella.
So, speaking of COVID and going to McAllister's,
yeah,
which I haven't actually gone to McAllister's, but I did go out to eat.
This segment is brought to you by McAllister's.
If they want to sponsor us, I'll eat one of those giant potatoes with hot roast poured on top.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. I'd eat that right now.
Yeah, you heard us, McAllister's.
We have one, I think. I've never been. There's so many sub and.
Well, you'd go there if it was free.
I am telling McAllister's right now, or any sponsor, that I will prostate myself to them, or pronate myself, or whatever the word is.
You put I will supine position.
I will whore out for you however you want. You want me to eat your food? I'll eat your food. You want me to tell everyone how good your food is? I'll tell everyone how good your food is.
PB&J.
Sure.
I used to feel silly, like, oh, Paul, why go there and get a PB&J? You could just make that. It's like, well, we have Amazon. It'll deliver your toothpaste to you. So that's less lazy.
That is the lowest form of sandwich. I mean, do they take the PBJ up with like a great bread or something, or is it?
I don't know. I remember getting one and it was delicious. So it was a step above in some fashion from what I would have made at home. Maybe I just wanted one.
Well,
anyway, I went to a
I'm not here to
restaurant
judge.
the other day, and they asked for my phone number.
Yeah.
And the host just had a list of everyone's phone numbers. Had been eating there for the last however long, just for contact tracing. Someone got sick. I was at Perkins. So they could refer to that notepad and call everyone else, hey, someone else that was eating here got sick, just FYI.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so I get it. It's like you could tag the restaurants with a red mark, on a digital red mark saying, oh, there's the COVID out there.
Yeah, you just get the 720 sheet out from the notebook and call all those people.
Great.
It
put the
sad,
scarlet letter on businesses. Say don't get. Someone once came in here that had COVID.
It's just for warning people, but it does feel sad. Like, oh, everyone's wearing a mask. There's little X's on the table, and we're keeping this notebook just in case.
Yeah.
We need to call you later.
Well, I mean, they take your temperature at the strip club now, so
Yeah.
you know, because the activities you're about to engage in are so very safe under COVID protocols.
We have a free newspaper in Memphis.
They're all going to be free soon because they're just going to be mimeographed off of crazy people's at crazy people's houses. I'll start my own free distribution newspaper.
They have a limited set of advertisers.
Yeah.
So they've kept advertising for the local strip club, even though they're not open. I don't know if they're still paying for the rights to advertise, but for the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's like we're not open, but we're getting close to opening. And they change it a little bit each week. Like, we're almost there to reopening. We're scrubbing everything down. It's all shiny.
Now, the last time we podcasted, we talked about the sadness of how the simple idea of travel or coming for a visit or me coming to visit you is like a fantasy now, like a wild out there someday when I have a bunch of money fantasy.
It's like a Jennifer Lopez movie where she's a maid and then she's like becomes a maid for the rich guy, and it's like, I wish I was Mrs. Rich guy.
Yeah. And then she is, because she's J-Lo and she seduces him. Here is an incitement for you to come visit, despite the risks to your health and well-being. The guitar shop on the corner closed and has reopened as a fancy beer bar.
So not a wine dive.
No, we're not going to Joe's Wine Dive, but we would accept Joe's Wine Dive's sponsorship, and we'd probably stop making fun of Joe's Wine Dive.
That's not true.
That. Yeah, you're right. That's a damn lie.
Joe's Wine Shop? No. Just put the checkbook away. It's not happening.
Just walk away, Joe's Wine Dive. It's not. Neither of us have been there. It's just we're offended by the idea that you included the word dive in a bar that exclusively serves wine.
There's no ratty winos in there. It's rich white people.
Right. First of all, it's on a premium spot on a fairly busy corner in a neighborhood that's about 3 blocks away from the biggest private university in the state. So I don't know where the dive part comes in. Secondly, a dive is like in some crummy part of town and in a rundown building. It just happens to be that there's something about that place that makes people want to go there as tourists of the poor and suffering. I can name 5 bars in this city that are actual dives. The Highland Park Lounge comes to mind. This is a place where it's a big Packer bar.
They don't need to call themselves a dive. You just know.
You know, because
looking at it.
You know, like if you go on to a Highland Park Lounge about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on any given weekday, you'll find 2 or 3 guys who are sitting at a table with an 8-ounce glass and a pitcher of beer, and they're sitting there alone, and they're going to drink that. They're going to drink that whole pitcher. These are professional alcoholics.
So at this Highland Lounge, are they looking at their cell phone to keep up with their work emails?
I think you'd get your ass kicked if you pulled a cell phone out in there.
Because I feel like that's happening at the wine dive.
You know, like
in quotes.
If you go to the High Life Lounge, the Highland Park Lounge, it's called the Highland Park Country Club. So the best part of the title of the restaurant is they call themselves a country club, and they are no way a country club. It's a Packers bar, and it's not like a Packers bar like, oh, we have a lot of Packer stuff and we always have the Packer game on. It's like if you wear Bear stuff in there, you increase your chance of leaving with a black eye.
Yeah.
You know, you can do it, but you better be pretty quiet. just watch the game, don't start anything, don't run your mouth. Now that's a dive. That's a dive. I respect that.
I'll say this.
And
you can go that way.
Yeah.
You can pretend to be better than you are as a business. You can't pretend to be worse.
That's right. That's right. But the best part of that place, in my opinion, is that all of the people who would want to go to Joe's Wine Dive would be afraid to go to this real dive.
Yeah.
And that's important.
So tell me about this craft beer place.
I haven't been in there. I thought this would be a fun activity for us
to do together.
At a time when we were less worried about how much alcohol we were taking in because we didn't have to be to work in the morning or whatever. I thought it'd be
there is, you know this.
It looks nice in there. I mean, I'll give you that. It looks nice.
The podcast listeners will not know this, but there's a place called Rafi's. It's they serve like Middle Eastern food, but then they also have bottles and cans of imported alcohol, and then a few 4 or 5 things on tap that's kind of craft beer stuff. It's not fancy like a wine dive. Like one of the doors is like falling off its hinges the last couple times I've been in there. And, it's kind of a crap neighborhood. So I like it. It's kind of my vibe.
Right.
This place feels fancy, but I do like a nice craft beer.
We'll be back with more alcoholic talk after this song.
My ears are bleeding. I'm drinking red. You're drinking blood. Go ride the shut line. You did my laundry. I drank clean. I take a cut with bad meat. Chicken pockets. Scan the room. What do you into? Sweet tattoo. No heart. No beat. No moves. It got stale. Cut fingers. Cut fingers. Cut fingers. Cut fingers.
That was Spock Fingers by Spray Paint. Now back with Memphis Paul's drink recommendation.
I don't know that I've been prepared with my liquor recommendations. recently, but I actually have a couple.
I mean, if this were a classy podcast, I'd have an opening jingle for this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the best I can come up with on the fly. Paul's drink recipes. Yeah, we're getting ready for Paul's drink recipes. Now here we go with Paul's drink recipe.
So today's, I have two. It's brought to you by the Garnish, the Orange Wedge. So one, and Fever Tree's products. They're delicious.
Mm-hmm.
So one is Orange Wedge, Fever Tree Mediterranean Tonic, and Brockman's Gin. Okay. And the second is Orange Wedge, Fever Tree's Spiced Orange Ginger Beer, and Maker's Mark Whiskey, which that was a fallback. I was looking for this product called Lillet Blanc, Lillet, which is a fortified wine. One of the things I like about Fever Tree is if you get their products, you can go to the Fever Tree website and they'll have like a wheel.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you bought this tonic product, here's all the things you can do to imbibe with it, where it falls on the palette of taste. Is it spicy? Is it deep? Is it light? They've got some seasonal stuff out. They've got citrus tonic. It's very tasty. They've got like a cucumber diet tonic water. So I actually got several here recently at the grocery store. So we'll have more additions to Alcoholics Anonymous, the Corner with Paul.
Now,
and the line.
Now we can't make fun of alcoholism because I don't know why we can't, but I assume that there's a reason, and that we'll be yelled at for that reason.
That's true. I've got a cousin that has addiction issues, so I
well, call him up and apologize for something that he's probably never going to hear.
These are delicious treats, and I try and imbibe them responsibly. So I encourage everyone to do the same.
I guess I feel like, though I made that joke, I feel like everyone's responsible for their own level of issues. So like when I make a joke about being crazy or whatever, I'm responsible for my madness, and it's my job to groom that and take care of it. And if there are things that I know will make my day harder if I do it, like watching Eraserhead, then I just don't do it, and that helps with mental health. So
if you like affirmational comedies with J-Lo, that's on you.
Yeah, and good for, and thank God I don't. I really don't. So I am free from that suffering. Have you watched anything good lately, my buddy?
Good TV?
Good anything. TV, movies, Netflix, streaming.
I didn't watch it, but Arsenal won the FA Cup, so I've seen a lot of tweets and coverage of it.
Is the FA Cup a lesser or higher honor? I don't know.
Well, there was some discussion that the top teams in soccer have become kind of fixed.
Yes.
There's a lot of money in soccer now, so it's kind of hard to break through into the top echelon. So these FA Cups are knockout competitions, so there's a little bit of chance at work, so it's a little more fun to follow. And I enjoy it because Arsenal has kind of fallen on tough times, but they've managed to do well in this competition over the last 5 to 10 years. So it's a little feather in their cap.
There are a lot of Arsenal fans around me for some reason.
Yeah.
There's you, My friend Randy Evans, the great editor at the old shop who's retired, his youngest daughter, who's 35, I think, she is an Arsenal fan. She's done a lot of international traveling.
Yeah.
And I ran into some guy at the pool who was an Arsenal guy. So
Yeah. I would put Arsenal in the same class as Oakland.
Yeah.
In baseball, in Oklahoma, and soccer. All of my favorite sports teams are kind of
Oklahoma and football, you mean?
Oklahoma and football, because they're all kind of second tier. They've had some success, but they were never like the Yankees or Man United, like the most.
Well, you're really underselling Oklahoma there. I mean,
right, but they sued the NCAA. Like they're not.
Yeah.
Like when Oklahoma breaks the rules, you're on sanctions. When USC breaks the rules, or North Carolina basketball breaks the rules, we're gonna find some loophole.
Yeah.
For you to stay on the air.
Well, I mean that's true, but I mean Oklahoma. Historically they were one of the best teams ever, and like even in this bowl championship series, they've been in like 5 of 7 of them, or how many that they've been. I mean, they got stomped in all of them, but
they're like the Atlanta Braves. They won once under Stoops.
Yeah, but before that there was Switzer, and there was who was the guy in the
the guy that made the Oklahoma drill
in the 40s and 50s. Who was that guy? We both read that book.
Yeah.
It's sad because I used to have great memories. Bud Wilkinson.
That's it.
Is the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah.
I used to have a great memory, but I think being friends with you has wrecked my memory.
It's just rubbed off.
Yeah, I used to recall facts, and now I'm hesitant and confused. And it could be that it's just the cholesterol blocking blood to the brain, but we all got to die of something.
Well, I think it's that chocolate chip cookie protein bar.
That's
the silent killer.
Either that or the Pepsi. It could be the Pepsi product.
No free lunches in nature. That chocolate chip cookie they tried to sneak in there. Your body's going to sense that and say, no, this is too much fun.
And with that pearl of wisdom, so ends another episode of The Exile. The Exile is a product of Blue Pill Crow LLC. Visit this podcast and my commentaries on state, local, and national issues at paragraphstacker.com. That's paragraphstacker.com. Email your comments to newsman1, that's NEWSMANONE @gmail.com. Music today was from the Free Music Archive. We had Spock Fingers by the band Spray Paint and a clip from Some New Distractions by Supercontinents. Thank you, I love you, and until next time.